All right, today we're cracking open the case file on one of the most infamous cyber heists in retail history. This is a breach that didn't just cost a company millions. It literally changed the way you and I think about swiping our cards at the checkout. So let's just kick things off with a number that sent shockwaves through the entire retail world: 40 million. Now, to put that in perspective, that's like stealing the credit and debit card info of almost every single person living in California at the time. And the craziest part, the hackers pulled it off in just 3 weeks, right in the thick of the holiday shopping rush. And you know, the timing of this attack? It was no accident. This was a surgically precise assault, perfectly planned to hit when Target and its customers were at their absolute busiest and, well, their most vulnerable. Just look at how devastatingly fast this all went down. On November 15th, the hackers quietly slip into the network. By the 27th, yep, just before the Black Friday shopping frenzy, their data-stealing malware is live on cash registers across the country. And it took until the middle of December for anyone at Target to even realize something was terribly, terribly wrong. But as shocking as 40 million stolen carts was, the damage didn't stop there. Not even close. The first reports, it turned out, were actually understating the full scale of the breach. Yeah, because it wasn't just our payment info. The hackers also snagged an additional 70 million customer records. We're talking names, phone numbers, mailing addresses, email addresses. I mean, this was basically a complete identity theft kit for millions of people, gift-wrapped and handed right over to criminals. Which, of course, brings us to the central mystery here. How does this even happen? We're talking about a massive Fortune 500 company with huge resources. So how on earth did the hackers get in? You know, your first thought is probably some huge brute force attack, right? Hackers in a dark room just smashing through firewalls and going straight for the crown jewels, kind of like in a movie. But that's not what happened at all. The reality was so much more subtle. They didn't kick down the front door. They found an unlocked side window that nobody was even paying attention to. The attackers got in by exploiting a vulnerability in the supply chain. They compromised a third-party vendor that Target trusted completely. It's the classic weakest link scenario. And this, right here, is the core lesson that came out of this whole disaster. The Target breach became the textbook case study for what we call third-party vendor risk. It was a really painful reminder that your company's security is only as strong as the security of every single partner you give a key to. Okay, so let's break down exactly how they pulled this off. It's a masterclass in patient hacking. First, they stole login credentials from, of all places, an HVAC vendor that worked with Target, an HVAC company. From there, they used those logins to get into a supplier portal, moved sideways across Target's network, and eventually, they hit the jackpot, the point-of-sale systems, the cash registers, where they could plant their malware. So, the hack happened. Now let's talk about the fallout. And trust me, it was a massive ripple effect that cost way more than just the initial settlement. So you see that legal settlement number there on the left? $18.5 million. Seems like a lot, right? Well, that was just the tip of the iceberg. The total estimated cost to Target, once you factor in everything from security upgrades to lawsuits to lost sales, was a staggering $202 million. And what fueled that massive cost? It wasn't just technical fixes. The financial damage was devastating because it was driven by a catastrophic loss of the one thing you can't buy back: customer trust. Earnings just plummeted by nearly half, simply because people were scared to shop there. Not to be fair, Target did scramble to respond. They notified the public just 4 days after they actually confirmed the breach, and they immediately started rolling out some major security reforms, like finally implementing more secure chip and PIN cards. And you know, this whole mess also became a huge lesson for all of us as shoppers. It really highlighted the critical security difference between using a credit card and a debit card. With a credit card, the fraud protection is just way stronger, and you're not immediately out of cash. But a compromised debit card, that means money is instantly gone from your bank account, and getting it back can be an absolute nightmare. Look, in the end, the Target breach wasn't just a crisis for one retailer. It served as a massive, industry-wide wake-up call for how businesses everywhere needed to start thinking about cybersecurity. And these are the hard-won lessons from 2013, principles that pretty much form the bedrock of any modern cybersecurity strategy today. It's about obsessively monitoring who has access to your systems. It's about segmenting your network so one breach can't take down everything. And maybe most importantly, it's about finally treating cybersecurity as a core business risk, not just some problem for the IT department to solve. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? The Target breach proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that your organization's security is only as strong as your most vulnerable partner. One compromised vendor can absolutely bring the whole house down. And that leaves us with one final crucial question to ponder for ourselves. When you think about this whole story, what are the trusted apps, the services, or the partners that hold the keys to your personal and professional data? What's the HVAC vendor in your digital life?